Welcome everybody to this panel discussion on changing perspectives and need for reforms in teacher education. We have three panelists with us: Professor Y. Srikanth, Principal, RIE Mysore; Professor Manjula P. Rao, Head, Department of Education, RIE Mysore; Assistant Professor Dr. Somshekhar, Department of Education, RIE Mysore. We are here to discuss the need for reforms in teacher education in the current times. It is often said that the quality of education in schools depend on the quality of teachers as well as teacher preparedness. In the light of this, is this idea of bringing in reforms in teacher education a current phenomena as we find in National Curriculum Framework of 2005, or has it been there even earlier? I would put this question to you, ma'am.
I don't think that it is a recent phenomena, because it has been expressed even in the other education committees and commissions also. Since many years we have been finding this a concern for improving the teacher education. For example, the Education Commission, that is 1964 to 66, they have emphasized on improving the quality of teacher education, and they have particularly said that we need to have integrated teacher education program. And they have also spoken about the internship, improving the quality of internship, and to start the comprehensive colleges of education. And following this, there is also National Commission on Teaching. Even they have expressed the need for having an integrated course on teacher education. And of course, as you know, that National Policy of Education and our National Curriculum Framework of 1988 and 2000 and 2005, all these curriculum frameworks also have emphasized on improving the teacher education, the quality of teacher education, and especially the field experience, that is internship. And the major concerns that what we see in all these committees and commissions are, they have said that we need to change our way of teaching, our methods and approaches. We need to train teachers to practice discovery and inquiry and activity based learning. Some of these things they have emphasized. And they have also said that the internship should be for a longer duration, and the teacher education program itself should be there for a longer duration. This is what has been expressed.
Yes, ma'am, we get a historical perspective of where the reforms began. But I would ask you, sir, to elaborate on why are reforms required at all? Is there a need?
Yes, there is a need. As Madam has rightly said, since the Education Commission from 1964 onwards, the National Education Policy of 1986 and the National Curriculum Framework of 2000 and 2005 are all talking about bringing reforms in teacher education, because this is the vital sector which brings in reforms in the schooling system altogether, and to think about the quality education in the school system. And also there is a need for converging the theoretical knowledge that the students gain in the teacher education program to be translated into practical reality, into classroom realities. And there is a need for convergence of professional preparation and also continuing of professional development of teachers in the school education system at various stages. It is at different levels or different durations and the structures. So thereby we can see that longer duration of teacher preparation programs enables them to acquire all the requisite skills and bring those transformation into the schooling system. The second reason is that we are emphasizing more on the present school conditions, and the school condition demands are more, but our teacher preparation programs are not able to meet the demands of the current situation. And thirdly, our approaches and the practices that the teacher training programs have adopted over a period of time has resulted in quality of teaching by teachers in schools. So there is a declining of teaching in schools, and that declining I see that perspective is in the teacher preparation program. So these drawbacks and limitations can be seen in teacher preparation programs, And if we can work on those drawbacks and try to eliminate those things and emphasizing more on giving more importance to providing skills and necessary strategies of teaching and equip them with all professional competencies and then induct into schooling system, then it will enables us to realize quality education really happening in the school system.
Like Dr. Somsekhar was talking about the reforms, even this 4-year integrated course which the Regional Institute of Education Mysore has been implementing since 1960s is one of the success stories, and here pedagogy and subject areas are integrated for 4 years and taught to the students, and now the central government has recommended this nationwide. This is one of the reform which was required, and now the government is in favor of doing it nationwide. It's a good gesture on the part of the government.
Yes, that's a very relevant reform connected to the institute. Yes, sir. Sir, could you please elaborate on other reforms that are also needed other than the few that you've mentioned?
Okay, like for example, the teacher training program that we had so far had only developed the teachers who are adapted to a particular system where they think that the knowledge is only transmitted to the learner and the teacher is only an active participant, is dominating in the classroom condition, and the learner is only a mere listener and is only a recipient of knowledge. And here we don't consider that knowledge is gained by the learner by his own experiences in the learning environment. So that perspective is not looked into by the earlier teacher training program. So therefore, there the learners have been given a backseat, whereas all the reforms are projecting that learners should be at the center stage of the learning process. So therefore, the teacher training program has to undergo a drastic reforms. And secondly, the teachers considered whatever the curriculum and the syllabi or the textbook that has been prescribed as given, and they are indispensable. They don't think that they are only prescribed for the transaction of the knowledge, and there is a freedom for them to enhance and extend those ideas and try to go down to the students level and make them to gain those experiences. That is the another perspective the teacher training program has to take care of, the number of lessons that he delivers during the internship program, and minimum number of lessons that he delivers may be around 12 or 15 in a teacher training program is not sufficient to judge his competency of teaching.
So when it comes to the teaching, largely there are two ways through which the teaching learning activity happens, and what we are focusing in the Indian context is largely on acquisition of knowledge and retention of knowledge. The second aspect is transfer of knowledge. So when we talk about transfer of knowledge, this involves transfer into new and innovative situations and critical thinking and problem solving abilities based on the acquisition of knowledge that happens in the classroom. So these are also the important aspects that have been largely neglected because still we are largely functioning in acquisition mode. So we think that acquisition of knowledge is more important. That's why Dr. Somsekhar was pointing about, why textbooks have become so sacrosanct, and you cannot go beyond the textbooks and relate that with the knowledge outside the world and all that. So that's also equally important.
Okay, so we understand why there is a need for the reforms. Now we also understand that there in National Curriculum Framework of 2005, there are certain concerns that are found which are also reflected in NCF with regard to teacher education. What are these reforms, what are these concerns that NCF-TE talks about?
Yeah, you have very rightly said, because first the National Curriculum Framework 2005 came into picture, and after that there was a thinking that they need to bring about a curriculum framework for teacher education also. Because when we are trying to bring in reforms at the school level, we need to prepare teachers also accordingly. That means the whatever the teacher education that we are giving, imparting, that should be in tune with the changes that have taken place at the school level. So it cannot be possible that we are bringing in changes at the school level and our teacher education is still practicing the conventional modes. It cannot be that. Okay. Now coming to the concerns that some of the concerns that are reflected. The first thing is, as what Dr. Somsekhar was telling, that knowledge has been treated as a given. Like nobody questions that knowledge, like curriculum, either the curriculum or the textbooks or the syllabi, it is just taken as the given one, something authoritative and we should not question, something of that kind. And the National Curriculum Framework has raised a point on this. It says that we need to question, we need to analyze, and that's what we need to prepare our student teachers, and which is very rightly even reflected in the teacher education curriculum framework also, that our student teachers should be given opportunities to critically examine and analyze the given syllabus. They should not take everything as a sacrosanct. That's the first concern. And secondly, there is a vast difference between the disciplinary knowledge and the pedagogical knowledge. And nowhere the connection is built. For suppose I am teaching science or something, how the content nature of my science can be taught in the class, what kind of method can I follow. So what happens is we are treating the pedagogical knowledge as a separate one from the disciplinary knowledge. There is no interconnection, there is no integratedness. So this kind of an integration must come. So that's another concern that was expressed. And thirdly, the reflective practices of student teachers. They just give, as what Dr. Somsekhar was telling, that they give a number of lessons and then you give 20 or 30 or 40, and that shows whether you are a good teacher or a bad teacher, and we make judgments based on that. But where do we give, encourage the student teachers to reflect on their own practices, how well they have been teaching, and whatever they have learnt in their course, in the theory courses, how they are able to practice that in their actual classroom instruction. So that is not seen. So the reflective practices of teachers is very much required. That's another concern that was expressed. And one more thing what they have said is, we have number of courses in our teacher education, the foundation courses, pedagogical courses and optionals and all that. Whatever the theory that they have learned, there is no relevance of this theory in the actual classroom situation. Or I would say that the student teachers are not able to see connection. For example, they learn about Piaget's theory, Bruner's theory, Ausubel and John Dewey, and in the classroom when they go to school, things are very different, and then they have to see that how exactly the child is reacting, how child is learning, and how different children are reacting in different ways. So this kind of connection they are not able to make between the theories and the models whatever they have learnt and the actual field experience. So this, I think that we have a major responsibility in making connections, and this is what teacher education curriculum framework also highlights. Even NCF also has highlighted this.
So are there any concerns about evaluation system or assessment?
Yeah.
I would
in fact, Professor Manjula Rao, when she was talking about different practices that should have happened, which are not happening for various reasons. One of the reasons often teachers talk about is time, teaching time. So it's not that for reflection, interaction among the teachers and the teacher and the students, the time is not sufficient. This is often the question that is posed. It is not that in every classroom every student has to speak out and there should be opportunity for everybody. So the reflective practices can happen in number of ways. In the sense there could be reflective journals in which they share their experiences about the classroom practices and relating them with the outside world. And also when we talk about teaching learning, largely the focus is on the teacher, and the teacher has to do everything, and teacher has to undertake the teaching learning activity and also the assessment. We have to have confidence on the children, and we have to entrust certain tasks to them so that they are able to do themselves. say for example self-assessment. Self-assessment is a very rich tool which has to be utilized, in the sense children are often capable of handling their own things, making assessment of their own work, and when we facilitate this kind of teaching, learning and assessment patterns, it facilitates for improving their metacognition, which is also very important. So there are innumerable tools and techniques which have to be used in teaching and assessment of the students in the classroom, about which we will be discussing in detail.
I have something to share with what he said. Like when it comes to classroom teaching, earlier there were some conventional procedures, like where teacher played a very important role and children were just quiet and receiving passively, just absorbing everything, just like a blotting paper, put a ink and it just absorbs, just like that, and then reproducing during your tests and examination, that kind of. Now NCF has discussed quite a lot about the learning process, the learner and the learning process. It is said that the learners are capable of constructing knowledge on their own, and only thing we need to give the opportunities, and there are multiple avenues of learning. Textbook is not only the tool or the medium of learning, or a source of learning, or teacher is not the only person, an agent who can just give knowledge and all that, and beyond classroom. There are multiple sources, community, parents, friends, and when you are all alone by yourself, and then you learn quite a lot, even your internet, all that. So the point here is, children, there is a shift, a paradigm shift, regarding the learner and the learning process, from a mere recipient of knowledge, a receiver of knowledge. Now we have shifted to a constructor of knowledge. The student is capable of constructing the knowledge. So this is the point. So when we say this, our teaching procedures, approaches, pedagogy, whatever the styles that we use, everything changes. It will be more of a learner-centered, it is more cooperative and collaborative in nature. So this is reflected even in teacher education curriculum framework also. So if we have to prepare children, if we have to enable children to construct knowledge on their own, then first of all the teachers have to go through that particular process. The teachers should be able to have belief in that. That means they should practice. So our teacher education program should develop avenues and opportunities, and the basic, the fundamental itself should, the foundation itself should change. From just giving knowledge, just information provider. From that stand, we need to move to a facilitator. We need to become the facilitators of knowledge, the helping children to learn. That's the thing that's been expressed.
So the role of the teacher is no more just the instructor,
yes, exactly,
or the one who is passing on information,
exactly,
but it is more facilitating learning.
Facilitating learning.
Okay. So what are other concerns expressed that serve as pointers for reforming teacher education? Could you throw some lights, sir, on that?
Yeah, there are other important dimensions, especially when we talk about teacher involvement, and one of them is inclusive education. Every school, every class has to be inclusive in nature. Normally we talk about two kinds of inclusion. One is physical inclusion, wherein children with different kinds of disabilities or disadvantages become part of the mainstream school system. So that's one. And the second one is with regard to social inclusion. Social inclusion is providing opportunities, equitable opportunities for all kinds of children, including children of categories such as scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, OBCs and marginalized groups and all that. So they should be provided equal opportunities in the school system. It is not only enrolling them or admitting them, but also providing good opportunities for them to transact, be part of the system and get themselves actively engaged in the classroom processes. That's also equally important. And now we not only talk about participation, we also talk about learning outcomes for these children. The children who are part of this system from different backgrounds should not only be able to participate, but should also achieve at the end of the academic session. The focus is largely on self-referenced achievement rather than achievement in comparison to each other. So that is the focus, and that should be the focus. Equally important is also the community engagement. Now, like my colleagues have pointed out about how the school is disengaged from the community and society largely in many of the places. So unlike that, we should provide for opportunities for the students to engage themselves in the community by actively participating in the activities and bringing in the community to the school. When we talk about that, we talk about the culture, the traditions of the community and the society, which have to be shared in the classroom so that they become active part of the classroom learning. And also equally important is the integration of teaching and learning with ICT. We know that ICT is a very important tool in the hands of the teacher, and how we can actively use this in the classroom is something very important. There are certain misconceptions with regard to ICT. People assume that using PPTs is ICT, which is not the case, and people also assume that ICT can do anything and everything, which is also not the case. Teacher has to be actively involved even while using ICT. There are different kinds of packages that are available in terms of teaching and learning. It's not that teachers should be disassociated once we bring in ICT. It is not like that. Teachers should use it as an active tool through which the learning is facilitated. So that's how we should be able to use ICT, and ICT should be used appropriately to the level and level of the children. So we should introduce at a level which is reasonable and feasible. It's not that everything can be done at every stage, so we should not consider that as a right option.
Now at present the inclusion is treated as only those students who are having special needs, but inclusion also caters to the extreme end of gifted and talented students, also becomes part of the inclusiveness. So it is a wide spectrum that is seen in the society and that is reflected in the classroom condition, and every teacher should develop that inclusiveness spirit and have that attitude towards accepting everyone and carrying forward everyone along with the stream and the system. So that is what the inclusiveness is.
So we need to respect the needs of the children and recognize their abilities and empathize with their needs so that they are in a position to participate. Like Dr. Somsekhar was pointing out, we have on the two extremes the children on the one hand who are exceptionally capable, and on the other hand those people who have disadvantages of whatever kind, whether it is social or physical disadvantages. So we need to cater to the needs of all these kinds of students, and how is it possible and how it can be done. This is a very big challenge that we have, but it is not that it is impossible. We can make it possible through several kind of interventions that the teacher will have to make, and we can discuss about that. Yeah. Especially when it comes to inclusion, the physical inclusion, in the sense the children who are having disabilities of various kind, physical in nature, so they need to be supported with appropriate aids, without which it is very difficult for them to function in a normal classroom. And without providing them all these kinds of resources, assessing these students and saying that they are lagging behind is also not appropriate. So there are certain things which we need to take care when we talk about inclusion, and by providing adequate opportunities to all the children and facilitating them to learn at their own pace, we will be providing them a good amount of support.
Okay, so we understand the concerns and the need for the reforms. Now, how are these concerns realized in the teacher education program that is undertaken now in the current times?
Yes.
If you can tell us about that.
So it is now NCTE has come out with their own framework in 2009, and even that notification has been gazetted through Government of India notification, and now this teacher education program has varieties of components which are mandatory, like there are professional courses, there are foundation courses, and there are pedagogical courses, and there are specialization courses which have been designed to make the teacher very competent in all the aspects that has been visualized in the concerns of NCF and NCTE documentations also. And another important of this aspect is they are trying to visualize the longer engagement of student teachers through their internship program. So they also term it as engagement with field, and which they have mandated 20 weeks of engagement with field across any teacher training programs. And again, these teacher training programs, they provide and they emphasize that there must be some pedagogical input and theoretical input, and these inputs the student teacher has to visualize and transform those ideas into real classroom situation by engaging in the schools. So they insist that at least 2 to 3 weeks of engagement of the student teachers in the school conditions, in the school context itself. So where the student teacher is able to make observations, able to make his own inferences, able to make his own analysis about the theories that he has learned, the kind of principles that operate in the given conditions, and how the teacher is integrating all his theoretical knowledge and all the strategies of pedagogy, all the skills that he has acquired of teaching into the classroom conditions, and how he is translating that into real situation and enabling the learner to learn in a meaningful manner and enabling them to construct their own knowledge by creating their own learning activities and designing varieties of learning experiences that he can provide, and also able to see how the assessment of learning can be done meaningfully in the given context. So all these are to be visualized from that perspective, and it has been implemented or going to be seen in that perspective, so that it enables the teacher to get all the required competencies and skills and transform those theoretical knowledge into practical reality in the school context.
Besides what Dr. Somsekhar said, I also would like to say something. This teacher education program is not a prescriptive one, it's not a prescriptive endeavor that it has to be only in this way, in this particular, in a fragmented, in a compartmentalized manner. There should be an integration, and it should be fluid in nature, like in the sense we are dealing with a the multicultural context, we are dealing with that, and the school context, like, so we are preparing our teachers to go and teach in such multicultural context. So our knowledge, whatever we are just including there under different courses, should be also something related to that, and it should not be totally sticking on to one particular ideology, one school of philosophy or one school of psychology. It should not be. It should be more eclectic. I hope you all agree with me.
Yes.
It should be more eclectic in nature, not confined to one particular ideology. That's what I would like to say. So that our student teacher will be able to experience on their own, like in the real school context, whatever that they have learnt, they should be able to see. At the same time, what they see through that also, they should be able to construct the knowledge, theories on their own. So it is not only from theory to practice, even from practice to the theoretical understanding also, that way also it should take place, a flow. Our National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education, it just says that we don't really care for teachers for developing the teacher identity or teacher's disposition, attitudes and values that is really required to become a good teacher. And assessment also, we are only very stereotyped. We are just assessing only how much ever they have scored in a particular subject and all that, but we are not just bothered about their attitudes, like their mental dispositions. So our assessment should also take care of that in the teacher education program. Yes,
so you're looking at more of an all-round development of a
Yeah.
teacher, and not just their either disciplinary knowledge or pedagogic knowledge, but since they have to take care of real life situations, take care of
multiple
roles of a teacher is what is
Yes, yeah.
important today. With this, we come to the end of this session. we have discussed about the different concerns and need for reforms in teacher education. We also have discussed about how some of these concerns and reforms are realized in internship. So, our next session we will be discussing how these reforms are brought in internship programs, and we will be having a detailed discussion on those issues in the next session. I thank all of you for your active participation. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.